Being an entrepreneur is a mindset. You have to see things as opportunities all the time. Soledad O'Brien. On today's episode, I am speaking with an entrepreneur that found an opportunity in his current industry and has parlayed it into a viable and successful side hustle. Welcome to the Stitch for Success podcast, where we are teaching business and life lessons that will help you launch, grow, or scale your creative business. I am Monica Allen, and I'm a wife, mom, daughter, entrepreneur, author, friend, lifelong learner, and host of this podcast. For over 8 years, I was stuck in corporate and dreamt of escaping. Creating a side hustle with just $700 and having taken the leap over 15 years ago, we have since grown multiple six-figure and seven-figure brands. Being an entrepreneur for over 18 years has afforded me many successes and a few failures. I want to share those with you so you can grow and be successful in your business. This podcast episode is brought to you by Zeus's Closet. We like to say we're like a tattoo shop for your clothes. We are currently offering a solopreneur package so you can get your own company gear. Save 20% off by simply using the promo code STITCHED. The link to the package is in the show notes. You are your biggest brand ambassador. Make sure you embrace it and show up wearing your logo so people remember and know who you are. My guest on this episode graduated from high school, joined the Navy, quit the Navy, pursuing a bigger opportunity that did not pan out. He ended up broke and homeless with no place to go except to get back into the Navy. That is where our story begins. On today's episode, I share with you my conversation with Michael Dillard. Take a listen. In 1994, Michael Dillard found himself homeless and raising his one-year-old daughter. Leaving his position in the U.S. Navy at the age of 24 to pursue a promised, and I put that in air quotes, 6 to 7 figure income in insurance, he found himself penniless and homeless just 6 months later. He sold knives, artwork, and even his own plasma to buy food for him and his daughter. Despite having a mental breakdown at the age of 25, he remained determined and never gave up on having a better life. Now he owns 4 companies and is a published author and fellow podcaster. His daughter is a graduate with honors from the University of Cal Berkeley and now holds a junior executive position at Microsoft. And Michael resides in the beautiful state of Hawaii. Welcome to the Stitch for Success podcast, Michael.
Hey, thank you so much. Aloha, sister. Good to be here. Thank you.
Aloha. So, Michael, tell me, all of that in your 20s, what were the keys to you staying determined during that time?
You know, it's funny you say that. I just had a talk with my mom yesterday. And although, you know, as parents, sometimes we can be a little bit hard on ourselves. Oh, maybe I was this or maybe I was that. But I was telling my mom, I said, you know, Mom, if it wasn't for you, honestly, like I would have been a much different person. When you have people that are like really intelligent, you have to raise that child a little bit differently. So she said she thought she was a little too hard on me, but she had to be that way because my mind was all over the place. I was everywhere. So I would say it was things that my mother instilled in me, like one, that I'm somebody special, that I'm important. But then there was also a deeper belief that I believe God put there, and that, you know, I have a very specific purpose on this planet. You know, I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew what it wasn't. So when I found myself in the what it wasn't phase, that's why I couldn't give up, because I'm like, this is not right. Everything on the inside of me is telling me this is not it for me. I can't stop here. So I would say that would be it in a nutshell.
Yeah. I love that. And so when it comes to being an entrepreneur, now I know you have 4 companies. So let's talk about that first company you started. What was your why? Okay. Why did you start that company?
Wow. So the reason I started my first company, which is Ion Reliability Training Consulting. Ion is I-O-N as in Nancy. It's a play on words. It's like keep your eye on reliability training, but it started up as an electrical training company. So an ion is a positively charged molecule, basically, or body. So anyway, what started was I was at my 9 to 5 and I watched this company owner fire his HR manager. She was a great manager. She didn't do anything wrong. He was a pompous person, I'm just saying. She told him, do not do X, Y, and Z because it's illegal. And that's what he did. He went in there and did X, Y, and Z, and she went in his office and she let him have it. She yelled at him. We all heard it. And then he yelled at her and literally threw her right out and fired her. Right. Wow. So I had been in the Navy for 22 years. I never knew about not having job security. So what happened was, after I saw that, I started having like panic attacks. I didn't even know what a panic attack was at the time. But me and him started bumping heads, and I was realizing that I did not have job security, that job security was an illusion at best. And I said, you know what? No one's going to take care of me and my family but me and God. So I need to start a company. So that's why I started it. And I prayed. I had never done this before. I've usually prayed about something like one time and one and done. But this time I prayed for like 2 months straight because it was so important. I had to have an answer from God, and I couldn't guess. And like maybe 2 a.m. one day I woke up and I just knew exactly what it was like, start a training company. I know what to do. So that's how I got started doing what I was doing. Yeah.
So what were you training people in?
So it was OSHA and electrical safety. It's actually a federal requirement. So every 3 years, any company that does, if their workers work on or around electrical equipment rated at 50 volts or greater, by law, they have to do this training. And it's once every 3 years. It's an 8-hour class, maybe like a 7 to 8 hour class. So that's what it was. And there's only like 4, even to this day, there's only like 4, maybe 5 people in my whole state that have this national certification. So that's kind of how it started.
Very niche. That's good.
Very. But that led to a problem, though, if I can say this. So because it was very niche, it led to a problem, because when I started going after bigger fish, they didn't necessarily want the training that I had. They wanted training. They just didn't want the training that I had. Because if OSHA wasn't knocking on their door, they really didn't care. We don't care. We're supposed to do. Who cares? Right. One person literally told me, OSHA they've never come in 15 years. Why would they come now? When OSHA comes and they find me, then I'll get your training. And I was like, oh man, that's powerful. So I realized I needed a wider, more robust scope of training. So what I did, the thought occurred to me, which I believe was God, was affiliate partners. I was like, affiliate partners? What is that? So what it was, it's like, there are larger training companies that do certain things. They're huge, and they're looking to partner with other companies. So I partnered within the last few months with 3 different affiliate partners, larger companies. One is in Dubai, and they do games, like gamification-based training, virtual reality, all types of stuff. Another one is in Canada. They're huge. They do ISO, like international standards, right? Over 200 courses. They do all of that stuff. Another one is in the Bahamas. And the woman that owns this company, she's the number 1 woman in the world. What she does, she's a sister. Then at what she does, she's the best. Her company is Organizational Soul. So soft skills like leadership, organizational development, change, trust, all of that stuff. So I partnered with them, and now I can offer so much stuff. So what happened right after I did that, that's how I know it was God. I got invited to this diversity event thing, right? And I wasn't going to do it. Monica. And it was a matchmaker event, and the one that they partnered me up with was the bank. It was I guess I can say it. It was the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. So I was like, man, these people are going to try and get me to get a loan. They think I'm a small business. I don't want to do it. But the day of it, thought occurred to me, just do it. So I went in this thing, and the long and the short of it was, the guy said, what is that gaming stuff you're talking about? Oh, that sounds good. I want that. I really want that. So I literally have a demo tomorrow morning at like 6:30 in the morning, my time. There's 12 Federal Reserve banks. So the man has already said, like, I really want to do this stuff. So I've got this demo set up. So if it goes the way I believe it's going to go, I will close that deal. And then, of course, I'm going after the remaining 11 of those Federal Reserve banks. But right. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of how things. I've been rambling for so long, I forgot what the original question was. Don't mind.
It's okay. No, that was really good. So okay. How long have you been an entrepreneur?
A little over 3 years. I always say I'm not a natural entrepreneur. Like, there's the natural entrepreneurs. That was the kid that was like so smart in high school. There's like, I could just go to Costco and buy these muffins and sodas, and I'm gonna go to school and sell them. Like, that was not me. I had a newspaper route. At 13. Why? Because I needed money to buy my stuff. So I wouldn't say I was an entrepreneur. I just needed money. So I always had a job, but I had an employee mentality up until a few years ago, out of necessity. And now it's like, I can't stop the ideas from coming. It's like, oh my gosh. So I'm a latent entrepreneur, I would say.
I got you. No, I understand. I personally, I believe I was born with an entrepreneurial gene. My grandfather, who I never met, he actually passed away a few months before I was born, but he was an entrepreneur. He had about 4 businesses, like back in the 60s and 70s, in a very small town that I grew up in. And so I think I was born with that gene because I was that kid in 4th grade who went to the store. I went to Walmart and I bought freeze pops and sodas and sold them out of my house because the convenience store was too far away for kids to get to it, even on foot. So, or even on their bike, it was that far away. So yeah, I sold stuff out of my house. I was that kid. So I think I was kind of born with it, but I'm so glad you've joined this journey. That is wonderful. And you're right. There is no job security. I one of the reasons that I eventually pushed forward with the business was because I saw 3 rounds of layoffs in the company that I worked for, my corporate
Yeah.
And I didn't plan. I mean, I figured I would keep my job because I was great at what I did, but you just never know, really, because if the money doesn't add up to pay everybody, more people may have to go. So it's important to know that there isn't really security in anything 100%.
It's not.
But you can put that faith in, your God and yourself, and he'll give you the guidance to move forward on that. So I'm with you.
Right.
So you've been doing this for 3 years, and I'm super proud of you for jumping onto this journey. What has been your biggest challenges so far?
The biggest challenge, which I was just thinking about this morning, is the mental. It is the mindset, because as entrepreneurs, we're so hypercritical of ourselves and our success. Sometimes it's really hard to equate success when the money is not coming in. And you got different companies. So, when you first start up, the level of revenue that's coming in is not commensurate with the level of effort that you're putting in, right? Yes. And many days it's like, oh my goodness, where's the money? So even though I know for what I do at my 9, and I still have a 9 to 5, most people don't even realize I still have a 9 to 5, right? And
I don't think I realized that. Wow, I didn't realize
I have a 9 to 5. I'm the regional director at a very large electrical contracting company in Hawaii, but I make them millions of dollars. I run this division across the state. I don't need to go in the office. I manage the team. The money keeps coming in. I just do everything all at the same time. So I just keep doing it, right? So, wow. Please. Okay. So yeah, the biggest challenge for me, like I said, not getting off track, is the mindset. So I'm like, I'm making these strides, but the money wasn't coming in. And then I would be feeling like a failure, So every day, it's like this grueling battle every day to be like, no, I am amazing. I am the man. I know I'm going to succeed in this, right? Because I'm that good at what I do, right? So that was the hardest thing. The second hardest thing would be, getting the infrastructure, because no man is an island. It's like, even if you don't have employees, you still need help, and I think it's identifying where you need help, where your strong points are, and where to, how to better manage your time. Yeah, how to better manage your time. Definitely. I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah, sometimes it can definitely be difficult to figure out where to fill in and figuring out what are your strengths, where are your weaknesses, and what you need to help with those. Totally understand that. Totally understand that. So mental mindset. And, I will say, just your determination to, get your daughter through college and to make sure that that stuff happened. That's just the type of perseverance and determination that will get you through entrepreneurship too, because there are down times, there's up times. It's like a big roller coaster ride, but I know you'll do great. And your mindset is right for it. So
thank you. And we were blessed in that she got a full scholarship. So it's not even like we had to pay. She got a full scholarship to Cal Berkeley, right? So
that is fantastic.
Thank you.
My kids are small, but I'm hoping that works out for them too when they get to that point, because that would be excellent. That would be fantastic. And especially then we can build upon the legacy. There's no
Right.
student loan debt when you get out of school, which is so huge. If you can get out of school without having that, you already are a leg up, right?
Absolutely.
Steps ahead. So that is what I'm working to give my kids as well. And I'm so proud of your daughter. I know I haven't met her, but I'm very proud of her for getting that scholarship. That's great.
I hear you. And that's how I feel about you and your husband. When I read your bio and I look at the different things you and your husband have done, I'm like, man, they are amazing, right? So your kids are so blessed because they have you. So they're growing up with a totally different mindset than most of their peers. They're already poised for success. They're succeeding every day. So I know they're going to, I wouldn't be surprised if they got full scholarships to multiple universities, honestly.
Yeah.
So I expect that. Yeah.
We do too. No, it would be great if they did. And then they definitely listen. They ask so many questions. Oh my gosh. If they don't understand something, they will ask. So that's a good thing. What would you say is one of the biggest mistakes you feel you've ever made in regards to your businesses so far?
Oh man, there's been so many. The biggest one I would say is, something just bit me the other day. Not taking it when people tell you something, not taking action soon enough, right? So for an example, there's a large, one of the companies I own is a government contracting company, right? So somebody had actually told me maybe in the beginning of the year about a particular certification to get certified with the state, but I didn't really move on it because I have all my relationships throughout the state. So it's like, I don't need that. I'm getting paid. I don't need that, right? But somebody reached out to me to do a government contract and they're like, hey, we think you're an ideal company. We want to partner with somebody in Hawaii after this large contracts. We only go after multi-million-dollar contracts. And I'm like, I'm your man, right? But what came up was I ended up needing that certification. So I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I heard about this like 5 months ago and I didn't do it. I didn't know I would need that thing. So now I literally said, okay, I missed out on the opportunity. So I'm like, well, it wasn't meant for me, but the bottom line was it could have very well been meant for me, but I didn't move on it. So now I said, okay, you know what, today, this is my most important thing. I'm going to do this. And it actually opens up the door for me to get state funds and train people all throughout the state. So I'm like, why wouldn't I do it? Right. So now I'm doing it after the fact, but I would say that's one of the biggest things because that was a huge contract and I missed out on that contract. So,
wow. So let's talk about
that's what I said.
Let's talk about government contracts for a little bit because we've worked with some local government municipalities for some things, but we actually haven't filled out all of the paperwork to have whatever we need to have for what we do.
Yeah.
How has that been for your business? I mean, I guess most of it is government contracts, so that's where your money is coming from. But do you recommend that every business at least look into what they could do for the government?
No, and that's a great question. And you ask really great questions, which is why you be a great interviewer, having your own radio show or talk show. You ask great questions. So I think it depends on what the owner's objective is. Because I have come across some businesses that I've spoken to. So initially, when I was first getting a government contract, I was trying to position myself as a consultant, right? These people they get these certifications. Oh, we're disabled. Oh, we're 8A, we're woman owned. And they think they're going to make all of this money, but they don't even know how the program works. So they do nothing with it. So it's like, oh, okay. I went to somebody's class and they taught me to hustle. It's like, oh, you know what? I can be your consultant. I know the ropes. I know how to do the walkthroughs and get you set up and so you can get contracts, right? So that's a way to get money if you don't necessarily have your infrastructure built up. But what happened was some of these people, they don't want the growth. They're just content with what they do. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't know why you wouldn't want this money, but they see it as headaches and that growth they don't want that. So if you're that company, then no, you should not go after government contracts, whether they're federal or municipalities, you should not go after that. But if you're ambitious and you want to grow, then right, do it by all means. And the thing is, it's tedious at first getting the paperwork done. So what I did, I literally have a file cabinet in my house. I have my daughter who's an artist. She painted that right there. I had her paint that whole file cabinet, and the very bottom drawer is gold. I said, that is my gold drawer. So all of the paperwork that I need to get all of my government certifications, every time renewal comes up, I just go right in the golden file. Here it is, boom, because it's very tedious getting everything together the first time, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah.
That's good to know. I was curious about it because it's not something that we've actually pursued. Not sure if I want to, but as we move forward with the goal of someday franchising Zeus's Closet, I think it would be a great thing for each business locally to reach out to government, municipalities, and make those relationships and get what they need done, because that could be consistent revenue coming in. So thank you for that insight. So we will work on that on our end. So
let me share something with you right quick. Which will really be helpful for you guys, because for the services that you provide, I'm telling you, there are contracts out there for them. That you guys already have the infrastructure to make the stuff that they're looking for. It's already there. You just need to apply for it and find it, right? Mm-hmm. So what a lot of people don't understand is about like owning a nonprofit, right? So a nonprofit cannot own a for-profit, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
Let me back that. A for-profit cannot own a nonprofit.
Okay.
Right. So, there are loads of grants. So I'm in the process right now getting my nonprofit, because I now understand this. I have someone that writes grants. He literally just won millions of dollars. I knew this guy from back in the Navy, and he explained this to me and my mind was blown. It's like, Mike, why don't you just start a nonprofit? You start the nonprofit. He said the nonprofit can hire your for-profit to do certain things. So like my global ambassador initiative thing I'm doing, it's like, why are you doing? Mike, get a nonprofit. And then you can go out for these grants as the nonprofit, and then you just hire yourself to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, is that legal? He's like, absolutely, that's very legal. So, and now I understand, because I see a lot of like native owned Hawaiian companies, and they're huge. They get these huge multi-million-dollar contracts, but they have multiple for-profit companies underneath them. And now I understand, like, oh, that's what they did. They started the nonprofit to meet these particular needs. They won these grants, and then boom, they just keep hiring their companies. And if they need to subcontract outside of that, boom, yeah, we'll pull you in. But for the most part, we're going to keep this money up in here. Okay. So I can even see you guys doing that. The need is definitely there. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is I actually want to start a nonprofit. Yes. So I will talk to you about that offline. So knowing what you know now, I know you're 3 years in, but you have a lot of life experience. Experience. What is something you would tell your younger self starting out on your entrepreneurial journey?
3 top things. I would say 1, save money. Save money. Even if I had this older man used to live across the street from me. His name was Mr. Smith. There's the older man that all the little kids are kind of scared of, but he wasn't a bad guy. He was a nice guy. But for some reason, he liked me. So he used to say, Mike, you be like old man Mr. Smith. He said, that's how I got my money. You take a dime out of every dollar and you save it. You be rich like Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith did have money, but I didn't listen to him. So then I found myself in my 20s later on. I was like, man, I wish I had listened to Mr. Smith, right? So 1 is save money. 2, you're not as smart as you think you are. Because a lot of the issues that I got into in my early 20s is because I didn't listen to people. So people telling me, Mike, don't do it. I said, no, I got this. Thinking I'm so smart. And then what happened? Boom, burn and crash and burn, right? So I would say you're not as smart as you think you are, and listen to advisors. Get a mentor, listen to advisors, people that have done it before you. That way you don't have to learn. You can learn vicariously through their mistakes, right? So those are the top 3 things I would tell my younger self, definitely.
I 100% agree with that. That is so true. So true. And, looking back on it, I really wish I would have. I had mentors, but I really wish I would have been better about staying connected with them, like over time, because you go off to college and you kind of get sidetracked because you're focusing on this corporate. But I had like a great relationship with a gentleman in Madison who owned businesses and franchises. And I'm like, gosh, I really wish I would have kept that relationship, So that's another thing, like not only having those advisors, but staying in touch with them, like making sure they know what's going on with you. Like, this is where I am now. Send them a Christmas card every Christmas. I mean, of course, I can think of all of this stuff now, but that's the kind of thing that I want people to learn from this podcast and take from it. It's like, these are the mistakes I made. Don't do them. These are the mistakes other entrepreneurs have made. Don't do them. But yes, and saving money is so important. Oh my gosh, those are 3 great points, Michael. Just great points. So tell us,
if I had saved money, I never would have been homeless. I wouldn't have been homeless had I saved the money, Right. Well, let me ask you something. How is everything going? 3 years in, how are your businesses going? I love the fact I didn't even know you were like a side hustler before this interview. So I'm really, really excited about that. Do you one day want to be a full-time entrepreneur, or what? How's the business going and what are your goals? Oh yeah. Thanks for asking me that. So I was just telling somebody yesterday, like, I know I'm not going to finish this year at that company because my they're doing that well. So I literally had a talk with how things happen in your life and you realize after the fact it was serendipitous. So I literally had a talk with one of my guys on my 9-to-5, and, he owns different businesses. And we all know he owns different businesses, right? But we kind of had a talk, and he was telling me like his skill sets and this and that. And in my mind, like, oh, okay. I mean, I knew that already. But later on that night, while I was praying, a thought occurred to me, that's your replacement, because it's time for you to leave. Because now all of these government contracts, I'm about to close the deal, and I know we're going to win this. They already reached back to us. There's a huge government contract on Pearl Harbor at the Naval Shipyard for training, right? So I mean, there's certain contracts that are starting to unfold, and it's like, oh wow, that's mine. That's you know what? And this media group thing I just started, and it's taken off. So I already know, by the end of this year, I won't be there anymore. And God, I've already identified my relief. So I already know, I don't know if it's going to be a month, 2 months, 3 months, but it's coming very soon. I'm just going to be like, hey, it's been fun. Here's my relief. You're in good hands. Have a great life. And I'll be out. And now my new life's about to start. So I'm excited.
And I will say, for anyone who is moving or attempting to move from that side hustle to making it the main hustle, is to have a plan. I mean, to have a plan of, if you can help your employer with the replacement, or you can just give them more time. Like when I left my corporate job, I gave them a month's notice because I wanted to make sure that my manager, who was fantastic to me for a number of years, I wanted to make sure she wasn't overly burdened and stressed. So I gave them a month's notice and told them, if you have any questions about anything, you can call me at any time and I will answer. I will help in any way that I can. And my grandmother taught me that. My grandmother taught me, you don't burn bridges as you walk out the door. So, because you never know how life works. Yes.
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. And I'll say this to people that are listening. If you're thinking about, you have a side hustle, you're thinking about starting a side hustle. So, I mean, I'm not married now, but when I was married, and we're business partners, so even though we're not married, we're still business partners, and we actually get along great. I will say that. God's good. So she was telling me, because like maybe 2 years ago, I was saying, you know what, I'm gonna leave the 9-to-5 and I'm gonna go full time. She's like, Mike, I don't think that's wise. She was like, I think it's wisdom for you to keep that job, right, and just keep that steady revenue coming in. But my ego was like, I don't think. But thank God I listened, because COVID hit, right, and my money. I was running training companies. My money went from here to zero, not near zero. It was zero, Monica, right? Wow. Thank God I had my 9-to-5 coming in, my gas card, like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it made all the difference in the world. And so I wasn't stressed. But if I had quit that job and then I find myself in that position, oh my goodness, I would have been so stressed. But it was a very relaxing thing. I'm like, well, the money's not coming in. Okay, I'll restructure this and that, got my job. I'm doing great on that job. And I make a lot of money on my job. I'm not gonna lie. I do. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I make a lot of money on that job. So I was good. I was okay. So I would just encourage you, don't quit your job. I mean, if you can work both, be smart. In Hawaii, we say be akamai, right? It's like use wisdom, use common sense, right? Keep that job. And you gotta, so, you're not gonna be watching as many TV shows at night or playing video games or whatnot, but you can take like 2 to 4 hours in the evening, block it off, and you make progress every day. And next thing you know, bam, your company's up and running. You got your money coming in from your 9 to 5, your money coming in from your side hustle, and then the side hustle will surpass your 9 to 5. Bye bye 9 to 5. No stress.
Right. Yes, I'm right there with you. So you got the plan, you have the plan, but yes, keeping that 9 to 5 until you actually have to leave it. And that's the thing is we were at a point when my husband and I started our business, he actually left his 9 to 5 first. And I kept mine for another year and a half or so. One, because I made really good bonuses. I was in the insurance industry. And so those bonuses helped us be able to buy a new house. So our home, our business was in our basement for a number of years. Before we didn't have a basement. So we didn't really have anywhere to put the business, you know, but that allowed us to save for now we have a commercial space for our business, but all of that stuff. And you can't let the ego get you, you know, you're doing great. And you're like, oh, my business is growing. I'm going to leave this job. They, you know, if they make me mad, I'm going to just leave and walk out. No.
Right.
You have to have a plan, and you definitely have to keep your cool and let that business grow. We had just gotten to the point where we could no longer move our business forward with both of us, you know, or with both of us working or me being in. We knew that we could grow the business even more if all of our energies were 100% on that business. So you got to get to that point, and then you can check out in a great way, not burning any bridges as you go.
Yes. That's because you never know who you never know, right? In the future,
you never know. And also you never know that relationship. I mean, this didn't happen with me, but whatever business you're in, they may actually be a client at some point if you leave right. So you don't want to.
That's true.
Yeah. So you want to leave right. And they might be one of your biggest clients in the future. So just don't sleep on that.
See, this is why I love your show, Monica, being straight up. This is 100 with you, right? Because it's all of these gems for people that are starting businesses, right? So I'm listening to yours. I mean, my company is still a baby company, right? I mean, I only got 3 years in the game, right? Y'all been doing this for a minute. So I'm learning from all of these people that are coming on. I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. I never thought of that. I never would have thought of that, right? So just on the strength of this episode, all the gems that came out, I'm so happy because I'm like, wow. There are people out there that was just like me, and they need to hear this stuff. And that is the beauty and the brilliance of your show.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And that's the goal of it. I really want people to learn from the mistakes that we've made and also our successes, because I do feel like I've been very blessed and very successful. I love what I do. Do I have days that are a little crazy? Yes. But I love what I do. I love the fact that my kids get to see me making things happen. My kids they never talk about working for anybody. It's always when I start my business, I'm going to whatever they're
amazing. That's great.
They are all about it. They are all about owning their own business. So right now it's just you, right? For the most, you and your partner. But do you at some point anticipate hiring some team members along the way?
Oh, absolutely. Matter of fact, I mean, I'm already looking at virtual assistants and whatnot because it's taken off so fast. I'm literally like, you know what? Things taken off. It's like, in a sense, it's like God everything was on pause for years. I mean, it was just kind of slow growth. And now all of a sudden it's just like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is amazing. But I need help, right? So I already know probably within the next 3 months, I'm going to be hiring people. There's no way to, a quick Bible story and then I'm done. So there's a story in the Bible where, you know, Jesus told Peter to cast his net on the other side. And Peter's like, Jesus, we've been fishing all night. But because you said to do it, I'm going to throw it on the other side. Threw it on the other side of the boat. So many fish came in, the boat started sinking. And then what did they do? Help, my boat is sinking. They called out to some other boats to come and help them. And then those boats started sinking from all of the fish. So my point is, we pray for meteoric success. And then when you get it, you understand, like, I need help to manage this and to keep growing it. Because if you're I just want it all myself, you're not going to succeed. You're going to fail, right? You're going to fail. So yeah, you need people. At some point, you need to bring in other people to help you, whether it's an actual employee or a contracted employee or like, something like that, it's not really yours, but you subcontract. Either way, you're getting help to
Right.
move your business forward and scale it. Right?
Definitely agree with that. You definitely will need help. And I
Yeah.
will say, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of us, I think when I first got started, I was like, oh, we've got to get an employee. We've got to have a person who's committed to us 100%. And there's definitely something to that. But I will say, if
Yeah.
it's possible for you to bring on people slowly, be it virtual assistants or contractors
Mhm.
or, and I know contractors can tend to be a little bit more expensive, but if you can do that, then if things go slow or things slow down, you can pull back on that. But there's a weight to
Right.
having an employee, and you don't
Mhm.
necessarily want to let them go, but if things slow
Right.
down, you may have to pull back on their
Yeah.
what they're making or lay them off. So yeah, definitely walk to that one slowly, but it will happen because you got to grow and scale. So you'll get there for
Yeah, that's
sure.
true. And most people already think I have employees. They're like, how are your businesses growing? Like, you have to have I have these conversations. And then I'm like, sometimes I don't say anything to add to the mythos, right? Of Mike Dillard, because it's the personal brand now. But sometimes I'm like, no, it's just me. How are you doing it? Because it's a little bit every day. So as long as you do a little bit every single day, it all adds up into an exponential thing. And next thing you know, everything's just like jamming. Boom, 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 boom. But most people
Yes.
are not going to do that. But if you can do that, then you should do that. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I just read a book recently called Cumulative Advantage by Mark
Mm,
Schaefer, and
yeah.
really good book because that's basically what he's talking about. It's
When I
over
write that down.
time, things will grow, but you have to start. And then once you start, you have to be consistent with whatever you're doing. And that
Yes.
consistency will ultimately lead to your cumulative advantage. So that's the synopsis of the book in like 2 sentences, but it was a great read.
It's true.
I've actually read it twice because I
Oh,
thought it
wow.
was so good. Yeah.
I'm going to have to
So
see if it's on Audible.
it is.
It seems like I don't have time to read books anymore, even though I love them and I publish books and whatnot. But Audible, I can do it all day long.
Yes,
Nope.
it's definitely on Audible because I cannot physically read a book. If I physically read a book, I'm asleep in about 2 minutes. So I have to listen to them. And I usually listen
Yeah.
while I'm working out or something. So I get, I'm working my brain and I'm working my muscles.
Hmm.
So it all works
Hmm.
out really well. So I
That's
definitely would
fantastic.
recommend that
Thanks for
book.
letting me know. I will definitely. I got four. I just got an email. I got 4 credits for Audible, so I need to start using them bad boys.
Yes,
Building up.
yes. Though that's a good book. Well, Mike, I really do appreciate your time. If someone needs to reach you,
Yeah.
how would they reach you? What's the best way?
Simplest way to reach me is, well, just go on LinkedIn. Just
Okay.
type in Michael M. Dillard, Michael M. Dillard. I'll pop up. Or you can type in Ion Global Contracting in LinkedIn. ION is in Nancy, Global Contracting. It'll pull me right up. Yeah.
I
I'm
love
also
that.
on Instagram, but Instagram is not for business. I'm an evangelist, right? So if you want Christian encouragement, evangelism, go to Michael M. Dillard on Instagram and you'll see it pop up there.
Well, Michael, thank you so much. And I will have to do this again
Yeah.
because
I love it.
you're 3 years young as an entrepreneur. And I can't wait to see where you are in like 2 or 3 more years. It's going to be fantastic. So I look forward to that.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I believe that also. And like I was telling you earlier, this was one of my dreams to actually come on your show. So I'm so stoked. It's such an honor to be here. It really am. And to meet you and talk with you. Super
Boy,
cool. Thank you so much.
it's an honor to have you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with the Stitch for Success audience. The mindset in this episode that stood out to me that is so important as an entrepreneur is the mindset of determination. I absolutely love speaking with other entrepreneurs. They always provide such gems. Some are new nuggets for me, and some I stand right in alignment with. Here are a few takeaways I heard from Michael. 1, save money. And I've said this before, 10% of every dollar is a minimum. If you save more, great. Number 2, you're not as smart as you think you are. So it does help to listen to other people. You may not always take their advice, but at least listen. 3, listen to advisors and mentors that may have some insight that you don't have, and they can help you save yourself from some pain and heartache. Number 4, have a plan to leave your full-time gig if you're currently side hustling. Number 5, stay determined by believing in yourself. Number 6, look for opportunities and be prepared to execute on those opportunities. And lastly, is government contracting for you based on what you want for your business? So those are just a few of the takeaways I caught. Now you may have caught some others, and I would love if you'd share those with me on Instagram or by emailing me at stitchforsuccess@gmail.com. And if you need to get in touch with Michael, his contact information is in the show notes. As always, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Please know that I don't take you listening to this podcast for granted. I really, truly appreciate you. Please follow me on Instagram at Stitch for Success. You can also now follow me on TikTok at Stitch for Success as well. If you are already subscribed to the podcast, thank you so much for being a supporter. If not, please take a minute to subscribe, rate, and share. Please share it with a friend, especially if you know someone venturing out onto an entrepreneurial journey for themselves. Please share this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. You can rate the podcast on Apple or Audible. And just know that I truly appreciate you being part of the Stitch for Success audience. Thank you so much and have a great one. If you do need to get in touch with Michael, his contact information is in the show notes.